Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Get Creative. We are here with Greg Calabria. He's going to be talking about co-living and his history, jumping into the business and what that all looks like. He actually prepared an outline, which is literally out of thousands of episodes that I've done in my life. He is the first person that has ever brought an outline. So we're going to let him follow through the outline and go cranking and get into the story. Greg, welcome to the show. What do you got for us today?
I guess I have to start off with, I apologize that I couldn't make the first podcast.
Of course. Yeah, don't worry about it.
So after Hurricane Helen hit, another one decided to come. And that's when I left and I said, I'm getting the F out of here. And we went to Kentucky. So that's when I was going to do this podcast in my car. But Tanya said, she's like, no, she's like, let's just reschedule it. So we're scheduled for now.
Awesome. All right, well, let's jump into your outline. You know where you want to go and what you want to do. Usually in a podcast, we kind of do free form based on questions that pop up, but you got an outline. So I'm going to ask 0 questions and I'm going to hang out and listen to you talk.
Yeah, so I think I'll just start with the hurricane. I mean, the hurricane hit and just knocked the shit out of us. Everyone here that was on the coast went underwater. That was Hurricane Helen. That was the first one. The hurricane really didn't even hit us. It just kind of went by us. And, then it went into Georgia and did all that other damage in Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. But I had 3 properties go underwater, which equates to 8 because it's 8 units. So literally, I had to evict. Well, Hurricane Helen evicted about 30 residents, just like that.
How does insurance come into play there?
Well, it comes into play, but it takes a long time. You have to work on your own cash, and my credit cards are maxed out right now. So I finally got some relief checks, just some they give you a couple of disbursements based on some of the damage, but I still haven't got paid on the final claims yet. So nevertheless, lost 30 residents in that night, which equates to a lot of people losing their homes.
And
you
meaning residents,
yeah, residents losing their homes, and they're looking to me for placement, and just my life was chaotic because everybody looked.
Is that your responsibility?
Well, it's not my responsibility, but one of the things that I try to tell people is when you go into the co-living, you become daddy for everybody. You're the father. I have 33 years of Tony Robbins experience under my belt, and that's what equips me to handle all these problems and stuff. I started with the likes of Tony Robbins when I was 19 years old, and I continue to use his philosophies today. I wouldn't be able to have built what I built for myself and reinvent myself for the years without that. So you become daddy for all these people, and they look to you for all these answers. And, I didn't really have any answers. I had another property that I could put some people in, but I was very limited to the space that I had. So you have that. You have, the sad thing is the people, there's no place to put these people and they have no home. And then, you try to help them as much as you can. I even had one lady I moved in with my mom, it's just because they were friendly before. And I said, look, we can open our door to you and you can stay here. She stood for like 3 weeks. And,
wow.
And then there's the financial aspect of it is that, I like to think I'm pretty moderate. I keep my personal bills at around $5,000 a month. I have cash flow of $60,000 a month. And now my bills all of a sudden go from $5,000 a month to like $15,000 a month. And I don't have the cash flow coming in anymore because in business, You're supposed to be able to have expenses and then profit at the end. Well, I just had the expenses now, so getting over that, somewhat challenging. Again, borrowing money from people and credit cards and this and that to get over. So nevertheless, big disaster. I feel like I'm on the tail end of it now. I think I got another 45 days of construction. We opened up 3 or 4 buildings already. And I'm on the tail end of it. And I think, the takeaway from it is, it doesn't matter if it's a storm or if it's something personal in your life. Your life will never just be a 100% roller coaster ride all the way up. You're going to go through ups and downs, and you got to be able to accept the challenges because it's not a matter of when this, if the disaster is going to happen, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of what kind and how are you going to deal with it.
Does this type of situation make you think twice about where you buy real estate?
No, because I got some phenomenal deals on the real estate that I bought,
Okay.
I moved to this area from South Florida to buy real estate. Look, I was buying these two families when I moved here 7 years ago for like, $90,000 for a multifamily. If I was in the traditional business model of renting and having just traditional income in, I think yes, because then the flood insurance and the taxes kind of eat you up. But with the cash flow and the strength of the cash flow, money can help solve those problems and makes you feel better about things. So no,
Amazing.
I would do.
So why don't we get into your younger story? Like,
Okay.
how did you get started? All that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
So when I was younger, I kind of I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. So, I was going through high school. I thought I'm going to be like a janitor because I would see the guy pushing I'd see him pushing the garbage pail around. And I'm like, because I didn't really care about school. I didn't excel in it. I didn't really study because nothing really interested me. So had a lot of fear, had a lot of anxiety. I wasn't the best kid. Um, so I decided to use my muscle because I was a jock. So I went into the landscaping industry. I was able to really focus, on working for someone and then building my own. And then decided after building a monster business, had about 500 residents, was doing like $500,000 in business a year, as a 20 years old. I said, this is like a dirty business. I don't want to stay here because I had started with Tony Robbins when I was 19. So I was able to build my mental capacity up and build my confidence. That's where it really got tailwinding in the upwards direction.
At this time, were you listening to like tapes,
Yep.
cassettes, stuff like that?
Personal power too. I would actually put the blower on the mower, and I would just kept listening to it over and over and over again. I just kept drilling it. I'm not one to taking notes down, but I'll listen to it 15 or 20 times. So, and that's what I did. I just kept doing it. So my first year, I went from 20 accounts to 50 accounts. The next year, from 50 to 100, all the way to 500. By the time I was 25, 26, I said, this isn't what I want to do anymore, because I said I only did this because I didn't have confidence. So after I built my confidence up, I decided to sublet my business, and I went into the mortgage industry, 2001. That was the year 9/11. 9 months later.
That was from 2001 to 2007. You probably made a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah. So I worked for someone for about a year, and then I opened up my own mortgage company in 2002 in Long Island. That's when I decided to move to Florida. 2003, bought a big house in the country club in Boca Raton, Florida, and did really well for many years. But I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew it wasn't going to last. Industry crumbled, banking industry crumbled, and I had a lot of cash. So I said, let me buy something. So let me buy something that I can get some roommates. So this is where the idea was born for what I didn't know at the time was the co-living. It was just basically out of survival mode. Let me start renting out rooms, and let's see what happens. So I buy a 5-story, a 5-bedroom townhome in Coconut Creek, Florida. And I had the idea just to, we were in one room out in the main part of the house, and I had a garage downstairs where I tiled the floor, and I used the garage, and there was a bedroom in the front, and then underneath the stairway, there was like a little cove where I could build a little kitchen area. So I did the work, and I rented that out. I think I was getting like $800 for the bottom part. Then I had one roommate upstairs in the main part of the house, and I was getting $600 there. So I was basically covering my mortgage because I was able to steal that property for about $150 because it was after the crash, and I was
So good.
lucky enough to actually put it in my mom's name. She helped me out there to use her credit. So that's where I got started. So now I'm bringing in like $1,400 a month, and I'm like, well, I have to work. So I decided to get a license selling insurance. Could never get anything working with that. So as I'm struggling, trying to make a living, and I'm, when you're doing these sales jobs and insurance and stuff like that, a lot of times you're working basically for free until you make money, so you guys survive. So as this is happening, I'm not making money. So I decide, well, let me rent out another room. I'm like, because as long as I could rent the room out, I could, get money coming in. So what happened was I wound up renting all the rooms out in this place and keeping the master bedroom for myself. And I was bringing in like, I don't know, it was like almost $4,000 a month in cash flow with this property, and I had the master bedroom to myself. And that's when I started to think about it as a business. I said, well, I did a lot of other things that didn't work, and I just said, well, this, the thing that's been consistent here is me renting out these rooms. I said, maybe this is the business. So then I started, but South Florida real estate for me at the time was just too expensive. Barrier entry is just a lot of, well, I'm sure it makes sense, but a lot of the properties didn't make sense for me. So that's why I had my eye on Tampa, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to move to the Tampa area. So I get it going. As I decide I want to make this into a business, I start looking at it differently, and I'm living there, so I want my privacy in my house. So I start taking each room and making them into like little mini like apartments, and I put a mini fridge in there. I convert the closet into like a kitchen. Like I put a countertop there, I put a microwave on it, put the mini fridge underneath the counter. Okay. I got half of it as a closet. Actually put a mirror on the closet too, so they can actually multi-purpose if they can hang their clothes there, or they can take their clothes off. They can put a chair under the table and use it as a desk. So I was multi-purposing these rooms. And I told them, I said, you don't get to use anything else but your room, and you get to use the bathroom, because I want to have my privacy and keep it peaceful. And it worked very well. And that's when I said, geez, I got a business model here. And then the market started to go up. The house that I bought for 150 years later, I was able to sell for around 300. I had already moved to Tampa to try to get back into the mortgage industry and just to make regular money, and that didn't seem to work. So I get back into Tampa 2016, 2017, and I buy my first property. I partnered with someone who's still my partner to this day, because I didn't want to do it by myself. So I partnered with someone, and we buy our first property, and I decide to adopt a theme, which is a beach theme, which is why you see Beach Life Properties, the logo here on my shirt.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so everything in my properties, they're all beach themed. I'm a big believer in, listen, there's a lot of different ways to get people's attention. You could spend a lot of money building these properties and pimping them out and putting really expensive things and getting the sizzle like that, or you can create a cool theme. And I think creating a cool theme is a little bit cheaper. It's a lot less money, and
Right.
You can still use the basic stuff, but you bring that feeling of peace and serenity with all the beach pictures. And I just go nuts with beach pictures. I put, beach picture banners everywhere, or people walk in like, oh my God, it's so relaxing here. I love it. So that's the theme that I started with, and I just kept running with it, kept running with it over the years.
It's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen somebody doing co-living with a theme.
Yeah, I find it very important. Look, you go to a restaurant, there's always a theme. Why not have a theme? If you put yourself in the mind of the people that are renting from us or me or whatever, if you're doing this industry, you got to understand, most people, they're coming in, they're not coming for life. They're not looking at this as, oh, I'm going to be here for 20 years. This is a bridge for most people. Some people stay a long time, but for most people, it's a bridge. So if you can make it fun, and relaxing, makes it more interesting in my view. And
I love it. Okay, cool.
So that was, how I got in my first property. And then my business partners, we, for many years, we thought we were doing something illegal, even to the day that I came to the Squad Up in March, I still was unsure if my business practices were legal or illegal. And here I am, like 7 years in. When I went to Squad Up, I still went there with the mentality of, is that I have a secret. I'm not sure if I'm going to tell people what I do at this real estate event, which I had no idea what it was. And then I learned about, pad split there. I didn't even know pad split. I didn't know pad split existed until I went to the Squad App. And then I'm just like, wow, the cat's out of the bag. This is being done on a much bigger level. And I think I might be one of the leaders in this industry, and it turns out, after sniffing around on your Facebook page and so forth, and revealing kind of what I'm doing and who I am, and I'm looking for the leaders, and I'm just like, I find a couple, but I think I'm the guy. I'm like, well, I don't think anyone has the experience and been doing it for 15 years like me. and really knows the industry. So
Right.
so here I am after the squat up. Just to go back to my first property, me and my business partner. My business partner is a super smart guy. He's multi-millionaire guy, ultra wealthy as far as. So I wanted a guy like that, thinking that was going to kind of make me feel safe and secure. But that's not really. I mostly did most of it. He's been a silent partner. He takes a very limited role. He's my best friend for a long time, but I've done mostly all the heavy lifting. So but some of the mental things that you have to go through, you bounce back, so some of those things were very, very helpful. So he's like, look, let's do this first one. Let's wait 6 months before we do another one, see what the pitfalls are, which, was smart. So we do, the first one, no pitfalls, and normal pitfalls, which is being daddy, which is just dealing with regular nonsense in this industry, which is just, there's just no way to really, you can smooth it out, but you're never going to solve it. And I have ways that I do it because I make people go through a 45-minute video tutorial when they move into my properties. Everything that I do for people boils down to peaceful, clean, quiet enjoyment. So unless they go through the video tutorial, they're not moving in because they have to buy in.
On that video tutorial, what are some key elements that have to be touched on in that video?
Okay, well, I would say,
I imagine you've had to redo that video a couple of times as you've learned new things, right?
Yeah, I've done it twice. I have little ones that I just kind of add. I have like a series. So, my big thing is everything's about peaceful, clean, quiet enjoyment. If you boil everything down, our goal is we should be going after peaceful, clean, quiet enjoyment. That's our goal for all residents. So when someone says, what's in all the videos? I said, well, it all boils down to peaceful, clean, quiet enjoyment because everybody asked me that question that you just asked me. And it's 45 minutes, right? So I can't tell you in 3 minutes, but I can tell you some of the key points. Yes. So for example, quiet times between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. If you're moving on to or about the house after 10 p.m., you can do it, but you got to do it gingerly like you have a family in the house. You got to be quiet. We frown on cooking after 10, okay? Can you cook? No, not pots and pans. We don't want that because it's making too much noise. But you want to go make a sandwich? You want to go make a TV dinner? Go ahead. But I say just treat yourself like you're in your own family. If you had your family there, when you're going to go use the microwave, you're not going to let the thing go beep, 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 beep. You're going to, 1 second, you're going to pull that handle before it hits. Do the same thing.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
So do that same type of thing. So these are some of the things, don't leave I don't put a garbage can in the bathroom specifically because then it turns into an art project. Nobody wants to bring it out. I tell people, don't leave your towels in the shower. Nobody wants to play with your towel when you're going to the bathroom. You bring it to your room. Everything belongs in your room. Your room is your personal home. That's where things belong. Okay. Everything else should be vanilla. I would like you to leave all the common areas vanilla and the hallways and everything. Okay. Because when the next resident comes in, they can go to the sink. There's no dirty dishes in there. There's no stuff all over the counter. You want to leave 1 or 2 things on the counter. Okay. Bananas, this or that. The problem is it gets overwhelming and I have to bring everyone back to the baseline because what happens is to manage my business, I have to show up at the properties and I have to get everything back to baseline over time because they just will constantly, they'll leave all over the yard. They'll leave stuff all over the house. So you have to go there and say, look, remember, we got to get back to the house rules here. Okay. We can't leave stuff all over. We can't leave our shoes in the hallway. So
how often are you talking to these people? Are you texting them throughout the day?
It's constant management, brother. It's constant. People really have no idea. People want to get into the co-living business. They have to know what they're really getting into. It's constant. And if I don't put boundaries on my time, they will text me at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I have 70 residents when I'm fully going. So it just
is most of what you're dealing with is like babysitting people and
yes,
crisis management, stuff like
100%.
that.
Like I said, with the Tony Robbins, without the Tony Robbins, I don't think I'd be able to do it if I didn't have the Tony Robbins skills. So it's a lot of crisis management. It's a lot of coaching. Getting personal with the people and talking about their life and helping them. It's a lot of that.
So you're kind of like becoming a therapist / coach type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think you can do this business. That's where I think if we want to talk about pad split, I think that's where I think pad split kind of falls short is that they're not doing that part, and they don't want to do it. And it is so limited on what they can manage. They're not going there when the dog's in the room and the dog's not supposed to be there. They're not going there when the pot's being smoking in the house. I show up, you know?
Oh, dang.
So there's a lot of things that Pad Split falls short about. And people call me from our network all the time, asking me, hey, how do you deal with your problems? And it's just, it's challenging to try to help them because not a simple answer, not a simple answer.
It's probably really hard to get those people to watch that video all the way through. Is that correct?
It's not.
Oh, it's not. Because they want to stay there.
Well, here's my trick. So I learned it in the beginning. So I send them the videos. I say, here's your lease. It's a 1-year lease. You have the right to cancel after 30 days for $25 because I want to have a soft lease to give them flexibility. I said, so you have to sign off on the lease, and then you have to go through a 45-minute video tutorial. And again, they say, well, what's in there? I say, well, it all boils down to peaceful, think, quiet enjoyment. You need to watch it, and there's a 2-digit code inside of one of those videos that you have to report back to me. If you don't report that code back to me, I know you didn't watch it, and you can't move it. So people, when you're giving someone a job or something like that, or they want to get something, they're going to jump through the hoops. It's once they get in that they give you a hard time, right?
Because they're trying to sell themselves on you to get into the property. Once they get into the property, it's like they just resort back to who they are.
Well, not necessarily, because they have to conform, otherwise I kick them out. So, so most of them conform. Listen, my life's mostly pretty peaceful, but it's a lot of crisis management. It was a lot worse before I decided to come out with the videos. A lot worse. So, but
okay. So what about getting somebody out of the house? Is it an eviction style, or is it just like get out of the house, bud?
So I do use an eviction style, but in my 7 years of actually doing this business, as commercially, I've only had to evict one person because I think that I corner them. I let them hang themselves with their words, and then I just regurgitate all the agreements they made and their sub agreements based off of the lease. And I say, look, it's not working, brother. Sometimes, and I don't really share this with my residents, but sometimes I pay them to leave. I'll start off with that, but it usually doesn't come to that because most people that we're dealing with are rational, and I'm able to negotiate with them out the door at some point. Maybe not that day. Maybe not in a week or two, but at least at the end of the month, because I just keep the pressure up. So what I do is, what I charge for most of my properties, it's $675 a month plus $75 a month for utilities, one-time fee of $300 non-refundable administration fee. We don't take any security. So I don't take any security, so I got nothing to get.
That's really, really great for the resident. And also, I feel like your rates are really affordable.
Yes.
Like, I think my average co-living property is probably $875 to $950.
Yeah.
Room,
we have
like that.
We have a lot of those over here available that are like that, but I want to be competitive in the market, so I keep prices a little bit lower than market. I have 100.
Well, also, you're not taking big security deposits, which kills a lot of residents that are trying to stay in like an apartment building or something. They need first, last security deposit. You're only taking $300.
Exactly. So
wow, that's impressive. So on the residents that you're booting out, you've only had to actually evict one. You've had a couple that you've asked to leave. You've maybe paid them a little bit of money, like, hey man, it's not working out. Let me give you some money.
Most people leave. Most people, when I put the pressure on, they leave when they're not paying. And
what would you say are the top reasons why they leave? Is it just they're not paying, or is it they're being disruptive?
I think a lot of, well, either, I always tell people, I say, look, my criteria to qualify these people is very simple. I can do it in about 1 minute. So a lot of people think it's, it should be this crazy stuff, right? All this checking credit and all that. Being in the mortgage industry, I learned a little thing too about qualifying people. So I qualify people in 1 minute, and I'll do it right now. So I ask 5 or 6 questions. Okay, I start off like this. Just to make sure we're on the same page, you understand you'd be renting a fully furnished private room and sharing kitchen and bathroom with a few other residents. Does that work for you? Yes or no? Got to get a yes. Because sometimes people think they're getting the whole place, right? So,
yep.
And then the number one's the next question. What's your current monthly income? I have to see at least $1,500 a month. Okay. I qualify at twice the rent.
Man, that's so good for people. Like you're helping so many people with that. That's so cool. Keep going. I just want to let people know, like, that's such a big deal. Most people are, stressed out. Like, they've got to make so much money to qualify for this is amazing, man.
So I qualify at double the rent. Then I ask a third question. Any history of drug or alcohol abuse or criminal background in the last 5 years? I want to get a no on all of it, but if I get one or two things, it's okay. I let it fly, right? But if I get a rap sheet, I'm moving on. Okay. Is the place for you or for you and someone else? And I say it that way on purpose because then they're going to divulge to me if they have a friends or someone else they're trying to stay with. I don't say, hey, it's just one person, it's just for you, right? Because then they'll lie to you. So I say that, oh, it's for me and my wife. Oh, it's me and my bro. And right away I say, sorry, it's just, this is a niche business, just one person per room. And then I ask, no pets, right? Or actually no animals. So, we can't do animals in this matrix because it just doesn't work with other people. Maybe allergic, the barking, whatever, pissing in the house. So we can't do pets. And then my advanced questions are, are you a sex offender, or a pedophile and have an eviction? So you want to get no on those. And that's it. And they qualify them. I can move them in the same day.
Do you you ever have people lie about that and you have to go back and find that out?
Yeah.
Or are you doing a background check?
We do the background check. So I do tell them, I say, look, I'm going to, so you put your money where your mouth is, I'm going to do the background check on you on that. If I get good vibes, okay. I don't even do it. But that's how I do qualifications right there, and I can move them in right there if the room's empty, And it seems to work pretty well. My biggest loss is not incidentals and broken things. It's actually when people skip out on the rent and they just don't give me notice. That's not,
and they just move out.
That's my biggest cash loss. It's not broken stuff. It's not things missing or TVs or anything like that. So that's my biggest cash loss.
Are you running into parking issues? Like a lot of people, I think people stress out about co-living and they go, oh my gosh, the parking, it's got to be such a big issue. Is that an issue for you?
I thought that it would be, but it really isn't because a lot of these people don't have cars, so.
How are they getting to work? Are they just doing Uber, walking, riding a scooter?
Yeah. So,
public transport.
So the good thing about my properties is most of them are very close to 19 over here in Tampa. And they can get to the bus, they can take a bike, they do Uber. I have a lot of people on fixed income where they get like $1,500, $1,800 a month. They don't work. You talk about, socialism. We already have it in this country, really, at the lower level, because I have probably 30% of my people are on fixed income. They get a check for $1,500, $1,800 a month, and they don't work, and they don't need to go anywhere because they're not working. Also, you put into the matrix that you got a lot of people working from home now post COVID. So the parking issue is not really, but I always make sure when I bought every one of my properties to make sure everyone has a spot. So I had that in mind. I know that Pad Split does more of the city. I don't really do the city. I do more of the suburb areas, and I look for properties that have big pieces of land and stuff like that. So I can do the parking. So I have parking for all my residents because I do choose. That's one of my criteria is that I do choose larger properties. But I want to move on because I have other things I want to talk about. Can we move on?
Sure.
Okay. So I did the squat up, not knowing anything that I'm walking into, and I'm blown away because I'm just like, there's all these people here just going, all the terms and everything. I don't know anything about it. And then I also learned that my industry is actually mainstream. I'm like just super juiced by it. So, and I know a lot of people like to get with pace and have you evaluate them and say, okay, what should I do? So I kind of thought that I needed that too, because now that I have this knowledge and this group of 30,000 people that are doing the industry, meanwhile, I'm doing it by myself for 7 years, like lonely. My partner doesn't really get involved. He plays a very limited role because he has so many other businesses, and I'm lonely. It's like now I meet this family. I'm like, this is amazing. I got all these people I can, bounce things off of and talk to. So I had to take a couple of weeks to just think about what does it mean and where do I go from here. So I retooled all my goals. I decided because I'm doing it all by myself, brother. Mostly, I have a bookkeeper. So I decided I gotta hire an assistant and start pumping. So that's what I decided. So if I'm gonna duplicate myself, I really valued what you said at the end of the conference when you said, look, you're doing all these unique things and you're just wasting your time. You should be doing what you love. Don't do the things that you dread. Do the things that you gravitate to, because you're always skipping the that you don't want to do. So I took that into consideration. I said, look, I got to hire an assistant. And then if I'm a leader in the industry, I guess I have to share this knowledge because this is what it's all about. The new way of the world is not hoarding things, which is we're going into this new era where it's a shared world. where we learn off of each other. That's the new world we're going into. And congratulations for being one of the first to do it and being way ahead of the curve. So I take that into consideration. I say, okay, well, then it's about sharing. So I decide that I have to come up with a mentor program, because when I go onto Facebook and I put where I am and who I do, the phone just doesn't stop ringing, and I'm on the phone for hours. And I don't want to say no and hang up on people. And, so I stay on the phone and I try to coach people and this and that. I said, and I had to put an end to it for a while, because I was like, I can't handle it. I can't continue to manage my business and handle this unless I'm organized and ready for it. So I decided to put the mentoring program together. So I started working on that. And then Hard the Assistant hurricane hits, kind of throws me into a tailspin and made me have to push my goals off. So, Hard the Assistant, and I'm working on the mentoring program, and I'm actually piecing out my business very technically and putting it in little chambers, so I can build like a little franchise, so I can help people duplicate what I did.
Oh, a franchise. That's a great idea.
With the 45-minute video tutorial, and how I build the houses, how I bid on them, just like all the stuff that you go over in your videos, but just for co-living, because I have it pretty much down to a science. While I'm always learning, a large majority of what I needed to learn, I have a good grasp on, but there's always stuff you're going to learn. So I start working on the tutorial, and I have my assistant help me. And then I decide, well, I have to once I get this video tutorial done, well, how do I actually market it? Right. So then it's like, okay, well, you can, because it's going to be a 20-part series of video, and then the manual with everything, sectioned out. So then I'm going to have to put that into a book. So I have a ghostwriter I'm going to hire to put that into a book. And then that's going to be like, here's my book. And probably the book's going to be co-living, either something like doing it on your own or doing it co-living on your own, or with pad split. So like, you could pick whichever one you want. Pad split's good if you're doing a couple properties, but if you're going to go after this, I think, as a real business and build it the way I'm building it, you're going to get involved in management. If you have a flow of all kinds of real estate, yeah, use pad split. But if you're just going to make this your only thing, you got to know all the stuff that I know, So I'm thinking now I have to put the book together. So there's another goal. So these are all the things that you help me, develop. And then from there is the evolving of this industry. And I see it evolving, and I'm already doing it, and people aren't doing what I'm doing, I don't think. So now we'll get into the evolution of it, which is co-living, right? So what is it? So you go in, you rent the room, and you get the room, you got the common area, you got the kitchen. Purposely don't have a living room, because I don't need another drama center, and I need another profit center.
A drama center. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Well, because that's what it is. There's the pot smoking, there's the video games, there's the noise, the girlfriend's over, whatever. So you got to take away the living room, okay? And I think me and Pad Split are on the same page with that. So how do you evolve in this industry, and how do you maximize cash flow, and how do you give people more privacy? How do you give people more space? So we started to think after the last storm I had last year, because I got hit with a storm. So I came up with the idea of a patio room, and I sent you a link to one of them. And
yeah, I saw it. It's great.
So the patio. So what is the patio room? So patio room is the same thing as a regular. You're going to renting a room for rent, but you're also getting your own private patio. So we fence it all in to the backyard, because you have glass sliding doors. You have an entrance from the inside of the house to your bedroom. Then you have your own outside entrance from your patio, and then glass sliding doors going into your house. And it cost me like nothing, right? Because I just have to, not nothing, but I have to fence it off.
Yeah, it's like a nice little fence and some gravel. It seems like.
It takes their space, and it's 3 or 4X's their space. It gives them much bigger.
Yes.
It gives them a much bigger footprint. And these things are very easy to accomplish in this business. Now I can raise the rents, right? Because that's the goal.
Yes, I love that. So good, man. These are sharp. Like, somebody is paying that little, like $675 to $850,
I'm getting
somewhere in that
$900,
range.
brother. I'm getting $900 for those patio rooms.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. There's one of them, you got trees in the patio room with all that nice little pebble gravel, and that fence is so nice. Who's building those fences? Is that you?
Yeah, well, I have a guys that do all the building. Yeah.
Oh, you have a guy. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So in my view, that's some evolution that I think we could all learn here, and we could start to adopt to build out those patio rooms, because it's just glass sliding doors, and if it's got to be right, situated right? It has to be in the right. You can't do it with every room, right? You could do it with some of the rooms in the properties,
Well, it seems like you're also doing, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but it seems like you're doing some other like RV
Yeah.
slips and other things like that, like ice baths and stuff like that.
Yeah. So before I get into the RVs, and that'll probably be the ending. I also do a hybrid apartment. Okay. So what's a hybrid apartment? So what happened is in here in the Tampa area when I first moved here, I could only probably get around $600 for the room. And then as we hit inflation, rent started to increase, we could raise rents, right? So I decided to take some of the master bedrooms that I had that were just bigger rooms, and I converted those to hybrid apartments. So I went, this is about a year ago. I took my mom to Tennessee on a vacation, and we rented like a villa, and it had like a bedroom and it had a living room kitchen area. And the whole kitchen was along one side. It was just kind of like a galley kitchen. And if you think about how much space you need to put that, it's like 3 feet. So I built one and it's just working out amazing. So, because you have the kitchen all on one side, you need a master bedroom for it. You have the kitchen all on one side. Then you have your a bed in the middle, and then you put a 65-inch TV or a big TV in the front. And you pimp out the wall with a little entertainment center, and you have what's called a hybrid apartment. Now people say, well, what's a hybrid apartment? Well, a hybrid apartment is it's in the middle of a room for rent and an apartment. So, and it doesn't cost as much as an apartment, and it's a little bit more in the room because I rent those out for $8.99 a month, $150 for utilities, and then I get the $300 non-refundable administration fee. So I'm getting them in for $1,350, so very affordable, and it's $1,050 a month. And people are ecstatic because they're like, "Wow, I don't have to come out of my room, but just to maybe just use the shower and the bath, and they get a lot more privacy, and they get to cook in their room and do their cooking." Now I make sure I do it legally. It's very important because we don't want to do anything illegal, because I don't put an oven. In most counties and states, if you put the oven in there, like a full-fledged oven, then you have an illegal apartment. So as long as you just do water, okay, sink, you can do that. And then I put a lot of outlets on the backsplash because that's where they're gonna, because everyone uses something different these days. They use the air fryer, they use the toaster oven, they use the crock pot. And there's plenty. I just make sure I have enough of those outlets along the back wall where they can plug in whatever they want. It's just one person. And hence, there's a hybrid apartment. And I probably have about 6 of those now. And so then there's the RV lot. And we'll wrap it up with that. So the RV lot, so I buying these properties with a lot of land, because like you said, parking, and I'm just like, I have all this extra land I don't even need. And I buy myself an RV like 3 or 4 years ago, and I get to learn the industry. And so I build out one of these RV lots thinking I'm going to put my RV there and rent out my RV when I'm not using it, and be like, okay, I'll use it when I want, Airbnb it, and then I'll make cash and make money on it when it's not, So what happened was the RV was, because I got the RV during COVID, it was broken for like the whole year. So the RV's empty, the RV lot's empty that I built. So I'm just like, and then I start to see that RV lots are not cheap. So I build this one out, I pimp it out with the soaking tub and the shower and the beach dean. And I decide to put some ads up, and I rented out the first day. And meanwhile, I had it empty for 6 months.
Wow.
And I get...
And are you renting it out for by the week or the month?
I rent them out by the month, and most people stay for a year, and I get $1,500 a month for each one of those.
Dang.
And I have 4.
Man, imagine if you could have one of those at every property. That'd be amazing.
I have 4 now. I have 4 now. And I'm going to continue to build them if I have the right properties for the land. So if you look at a traditional house and you buy a single family house, you can get 6 people in there plus an RV lot. You should be able to cash flow like $6,500 from a single family house. If you bought, like a 12 or 1,400 square foot house, which over here you can buy them, still for like $170.
So amazing.
Yeah.
My gosh.
So that's the rest.
So what's the future? What's 2025 look like? Like what are your goals for acquisitions and things of that nature?
So 2025 looks like getting back on track with my goals that I've been working on, which is putting the mentorship program together. I have my guy who's my assistant. I'm actually mentoring him. He's a 20-year-old kid. He's a phenomenal kid. So I'm mentoring him, and he's going to come into the industry at some point too. Continue to build. He's probably going to be doing the ghostwriting of the book. And then once we get the mentorship program together, I can take these calls and start partnering with people and start doing some more acquisitions, keeping my contractor busy. And then I have my idea that I want to do for a website, which is similar to Pad Split with more evolution on the new way of living as we're going into this new world with sharing each other's like cars, like Uber is sharing, Uber Eats, all this stuff. Like, how do I share my house and profit? So I have a different mentality with how I want to build this website when it comes to something like Pad Split, because it's going to be more of like put an RV lot, how to build an RV lot on your property and how to capitalize on that if you're a homeowner. Okay, how to if you don't want to have a roommate in your house and you go to work every day. Okay, maybe you want to build a home office in your house and you want to rent that out. You're at work. You can have someone renting your home office. When you're coming home from work, he's leaving. So you still have peace and quiet. You're capitalizing on cash.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people
Yeah, I love that.
want to work from home, but they can't because they got the kids, the dog. They got to go somewhere else. They could go rent a place for $500 or $600 down the block. So I see if it's available, people will come to it. You know what I mean? People renting out their garages and stuff like that. You know, just the whole evolution of every way of sharing our home and actually capitalizing on our home and without utilizing it.
Man, super impressive. I love that you figured this business out way before anybody else did. You know, you worked it by yourself for so many years just to find out that you actually are kind of a leader in this space and you've got ideas that nobody else has ever thought of. You got a lot to bring to this industry, man. This is really exciting. I can't wait to see what you do in 2025.
Thank you. Me too.
Really cool. How's the assistant working out?
Oh, he's amazing. I mean, you know, this kid is phenomenal. He's way above his age for being 20 years old. And he's super smart. He uses the chat GPT a lot. He's building out a lot of my business systems and helped me kind of, you know, just put everything into little chunks and just break out my business because, you know, listen, we could be in business and do great business, but a business isn't really only a job unless you can duplicate it. So your business becomes and you know this doesn't anyone, a business becomes more valuable when you're not there. So you have to be able to, when like McDonald's, you know, not the best hamburger, but still the #1 franchise in the world, right? It's because of their business systems and what they can get 15, 16, and 17-year-old kids to do. You never see an owner at a McDonald's. You'll never see him. So I have to franchise my business in a way where I have it all done. I know what I do, but nobody else does. You know, like if somebody had to go into my business, it would be challenging tomorrow. They could probably do it, but it would be a lot harder. So I have to just chunk it all down. So I'm guessing that's going to take me 2 or 3 months to do that. And then I'm going to do the book. But that's going to be easy for me because that's just going to be the ghostwriter writing it, me coaching. And then I want to get into the website, which maybe when I'm there with you, I could share some more of that with you, and maybe we can talk about collaborating on some of those ideas if you're interested.
I think it's a great idea. Absolute great idea. Maybe we could make a whole other YouTube video about stuff when we're in person. Maybe you could even come to one of my co-living properties and critique it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me some ideas.
Yeah,
we'll make a whole YouTube video out of it.
Yeah, I'd love
Greg, you're amazing, man. This is awesome. What a well-prepared, amazing podcast. Guys, if you want to follow Greg, he calls himself Greg Cavallino, Calabria. He's amazing. You guys can get his Gmail is right here on the screen. gcalabria123@gmail.com if you guys are interested in his mentorship program that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Greg, I appreciate you, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you.